Today's daf is Masechtas Nazir Daf Membeis. We are on the top line, Membeis Amid Aleph, the third to last word from the end of the line. Zok the Gemara. The Gemara is going to discuss the mission that we had before in Daf Mem. Zok the Heli Gemara. Amar Mar. There are three people that have a din tagalachas, to Megaleach, Nazir, Mitzor, and Leviim. If they do not use a razor, a tar, or they leave over 2 hairs, they're not yotzi yedei chayvasam. They don't get the mitzvah. And the Tosfos Yontif and Negaim says that the reason why 1 sire is not ma'akav, only 2 sires is ma'akav, leave over 2 sires, is because the pasuk says a lashon of seer, and that lashon is only used on is not less than 2. So therefore, leaves over 1 sar, he's yotze to the mitzvah. Okay. Zok the Gemara. Amar Rav Acha b'Rei Rav Ikar. Zok Rav Acha b'Rei Rav Ikar. Zoyse meres. This that we say in Kol Torah Kuloi, Ruboy Kekuloi, Midoraisa. This that we say that if you have a majority, Roy is considered like Kekuloi, the whole thing, Midoraisa. Memai, where do we see this halacha? Where do we know it from? Zok the Gemara. Midigal Rachmana. Gabi Nazir by Yom HaShvi Yigal Chenu, because the Torah from this side, the Torah tells us the Gabi Tiglachas of a Nazir, that although it says on the pasuk by Midah Parak Vav, pasuk says V'Gilach Roishai, the Torah says by Yom HaShvi Yigal Chenu to tell you that it's not enough with cutting most of his hair. He needs to have dafka a complete taglachas. He has to cut all the hair on his head. So you could say that Hacha who da'ad de'ika kuloi, that you see Gimdaik in this pasuk that the Torah is telling you that over dafka over here by Nazir you don't say ruba kuloi. We have a limud, but taba alma. But in other places where you don't have this ribu, then we'll say ruba kuloi. We'll say the concept of ruba kuloi, that you do a majority of something, it has a din like it did the whole thing. Frekti Gemara, Maskav Lor Rabbi Yosef V'Chanina, Frekti Yosef V'Chanina, Hi, Ben Nazir Tameh, this pasuk that you bought of Yigal Chenu, we said B'Yom HaShvi Yigal Chenu, this limud that we bought to tell you that it's not enough for Roiv Kekuloi, and he has to cut off all his hair, Zakti Gemara, Hi, Ben Nazir Tameh, it's talking about a Nazir that was Nito Teicha Bezin Rusay Ksiv. It does not say by a Nazir Tar, which is the halacha of our Mishnah. It says you have to cut off all the hair. That's halacha of our Mishnah. So Gemara Machu Alam Marava, the Amiram and Eretz Yisrael, they laughed at this kasha, and they didn't think it was shver because they said Michti Nazir Tamei the Tar Menalan. They said another Tamei that he becomes Tamei, he cuts his hair with a tar. How do we know this? Nazir Tar Yalaf. You learn out the din of Nazir Tamei from Nazir Tar. So So then you should also go back and learn that Nazir Torah from Nazir Tameh, the din that 2 sires is ma'akav. So they laughed at the question. So what's fair? So you learn that Nazir Tameh from Tar. So then go back and learn that the din of Shtei Cyrus, that you can't leave over more Shtei Cyrus. If you leave over 2 hairs or more, you're not Yotze from Nazir Tameh. And learn out like this. Say Ma Tameh Kishar Shtei Cyrus V'le Klum Avad. It's nothing. Hachanami, also by Nazir Tar, if he leaves over 2 sires, like Klom Avad. So the Chayra, it's very good that we said that you learn out from Yigal Chenu, although it's talking about Nazir Tameh. It's not shvei. Like the Amiram and Eretz said, you could also learn out Nazir Tar, the din of Shtei Sires by Nazir Tar from Nazir Tameh. Zok the Gemara Vayter. Boya Baya had a shayla, he had a suffix. Nazir Shegilach V'Shir Shtei Cyrus. A Nazir that's going to lech his head, he cut off his hair and he left over 2 Cyrus. Or he didn't cut off 2 hairs, or he didn't cut them off well, he didn't cut them off correctly. So Kumtais he was not Mekayim the Mitzvah Giluach. And then Samach Roishai, the rest of his hair started growing back, V'Chazar Gilchan, and then he went ahead and he cut off those 2 hairs that he originally missed. Mahu. What's the halacha? Mi ma'akvi. Do you say it's ma'akiv and he's not yotzi de chayvus galuach? Why? Because l'maisa now he has a full head of hair and he has to cut off all his hair again. Or do you say no, that these 2 cyrus are not ma'akiv taglachas And his first giluach was good because mice at the end, whatever it was, a few days later, he cut it off. The 2 hairs that he left over originally. So maybe that original giluach is considered, original haircut is considered a good cut. Good mitzvah. He gets a mitzvah to galachas for that. Noch hashayla frekti gemara, boya Rava had a shayla, nazir shagilach, v'niach sheisaris. What happens if you have a nazir that he did his megaleach and he left over 2 cyrus? V'gilach achas, v'nosha achas. And over time, sometime, he cut off one of the 2 remaining, and the second one of the 2 that he left over fell out. Not with giluach. Mahu. What's the halacha? Do we say that because he had the first giluach, he left over 2 here, so he wasn't yotzei's mitzvah? And even though now he cut off 1 more here, but it's not a shir giluach, and the second one fell out by itself, so Mila is not yotzei's mitzvah? Or do you say that seif l'maisa he's left with a head without hair, so maybe he's yotzei his chiyuv of giluach? Dr. Gemara, Amalei Ravachim Dif Tel Ravina, Ravachim Dif Tel Ravina, Gilach Cyrus coming by Leila Rava. Rava has a shaila when you cut off 1 hair at a time. Is Rava being Mesupik when he does 2 Cyrus one after another? L'chor Avadim Mekayim Mitzvah Taglachas when he cuts off the first one that he left over. Why? Because when he comes to Mingaleach, the 2 Cyrus, which is a Shir Galuach, so he's Mekayim Mitzvah Taglachas with the first hair. And then he only has 1 left over, and 1 here is not ma'akiv. And that's the one that fell out. So if the one that fell out is the last one, who cares? That one's not ma'akiv anyway, no matter how it comes out. Even if it stays there, he's not ma'akiv. Zaktin Gemara le'ema, that no, this was Rava's suffix. Nashra achas, if the first one of the 2 that were left over fell out, and then v'gilach achas, and then the second one he cuts him out. Do you say there's not yitzchak v'tztaglachas? Because at the time that he came to cut it off, there was not a shir galuach left over, which stays tired, because only 1 left over, because the first one fell out? Or do you say no, it's Mekayim Mitzvah galuach, because at the end of the day, he has no hair left on his head. So Amar Lei, so Rachem Difti told Ravina, that you place your Rav Safik, that giluach einkan, that there's no kiyum of giluach. Why? Because seir einkan, because there's no hair on his head. So, the Gemara is going to explain this. Isay or Inkan, if it's taka, if you're considering that this giluach, like there's no here, so it's like giluach yeshkan. L'chari there is a mitzvah giluach. So why are you telling me that there's no kiyum giluach? So, like the Gemara hachikamar, this is what he meant to say. Afa pisha say or Inkan, even though there's no here because it fell off and you cut off a second one, a mitzvah, a kiyum, a mitzvah giluach you don't have. Why? Because of the first taglachas you had left over 2 hairs, and on the second taglachas he only cut off 1 hair after there was no shir giluach anymore because the first one fell out. So in Mela there's no kiyum mitzvah of taglachas b'chai gavno where the first one fell out and the second one cut off from the first 2 that were remaining for the first taglachas. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. This Mishnah is going to discuss the way a Nazir has to be noyig with his hair. So Zok the Mishnah. Nazir choifif umafasfes avaloi soirik. A Nazir is allowed to scratch his hair, so he's allowed to make it smooth and smoothen it out. So he's allowed to use, the Radak says he's allowed to use different ashes, let's say, to run it through his hair and clean his hair, different things they use to put through the hair. Umafasfes, he's allowed to run his fingers through his hair in order to separate the hairs from each other, kind of like comb it with his fingers. And even though while you did kach, it's yitachin that hairs are going to fall out. He's not over on the lav tal le'av al roishay, or in the essay of Gadol Perasar Roishay. Why? Because it's not Meschaven. Let's talk the Mishnah of a Loy Seirik. He's not allowed to use a comb. Because in that case, he's Zicher Meschaven that hairs are going to fall out of his head if he's using a comb. So Mele is not allowed to use a comb to comb his hair. So he's only allowed to use his fingers. Zok the Heilig Gemara. The Mishnah said that a Nazir is Choyfeif u Mefasfes. So he's allowed to use different things. He's allowed to scratch, and he's allowed to use different things to put them through here, different things they use to wash or clean them. And although here is going to fall out, it's mutter, because it's not mischaven, pashtus. That's the ratio of the Mishnah. It's Gemara Mani, which town is the shita going like? The Gemara Shimon he. It's going with shita Shim. The Amar Davar Shem mischaven. If somebody does a Maisa Heter, and he's all to come out from that Maisa Avera. So if he's not Meschaven for Avera, then it's Mutter. So therefore, Mutter, that's Shittas from Nazir we find, Shabbos mostly. So Memela, Nazir also is allowed to be Chayf of his head, since it's not Meschaven, that hair is going to fall out. But the Mishnah says, I have a loy sayrik, he's not allowed to use a comb or a brush, because even though he's not Meschaven, because it's for sure going to happen. So the Gemara, Asal Rabbanan. L'chari that's going Shittas Chachamim, the whole Davar Shem Meschaven's Asar. Because according to Rav Shimon, it's l'chari true mutter. He's still not meschaven. Who cares if he's using a comb or a brush? So the Gemara, Reisha Rav Shimon, Sefer Rabbanan. L'chari comes out the Reisha Rav Shimon, Sefer Rabbanan. It's a stira. It's two different Tanam. So the Gemara, I'm a rabbi, cooler Rav Shimon. No, I can tell you the whole message of Rav Shimon. And the reason why it's asur for a nazir to use to be sayrik, to use a comb, because kol ha-sayrik lahasar nimin and duldalis meschaven. Anyone that uses a comb, his kavanah is also to take out hairs that are already somewhat detached and they're not connected good to the hair. So he uses a comb, he wants those to come out. So male is mischaven, even davar aser, and chai gavno is chaven even for something that's aser. Even Rav Shimon that says normally davar shem mischaven is mutter, in this case is going to hold that it's going to be aser. Another Mishnah, Zakta Helig Mishnah. It's kind of a hemshich to the last Mishnah. Bishmal says, even though it's mutter for a nazir to be chayfif, and even when neser, which we said is like ashes or something that they run through the hair to clean it and to make it nice, but l'mais says Zakta Bishmal lo yachayf ba'adama v'pnei shemasheres es haseyar. So what does it mean? You're not allowed to do it with adama, because it's sure that hair is going to fall out and it's aser. Zakta Gemara, Ibayalahu, Bnei Yeshua Mesopik. What's Pshat on the sheet? It's Rabbi Shmuel. Bnei Yeshua Masheres Seir. Tanan is it because all adama makes the hair fall out? Idilma Bnei Masheres Tanan. Because it's not all adama makes hair come out, but there's a certain type of adama that takes the hair out, and there will geyser to be chayfif with all types of adama gezer, because there's one adama that might come along that takes out the hair. Zakta Gemara l'may nafkamina. What's an nafkamina in this shayla? These two stadim. Zakta Gemara going to ika adama loy masa. Let's say a guy has a batch of adama and it doesn't take out the hair. Is he allowed to use it or not? Is a nazir allowed to use it? Yeah, tanan. If you tell him because the problem is that it takes out the hair, if you know it does not take this so good adama does not take out hair, it should be mutter. Because Shmuel aser and a type of adama that pulls out the hair. If you say that the isser is a chum made a gezerah because of that specific adama that pulls out the hair, so klal loy. So in any type of adama, even if this one that the nazir is using does not pull out, it would still be also like more teiku. The shaila applies with a suffix because we do not know how to replace it. Zok the Heilige Mishnah, another Mishnah, a third Mishnah. The Mishnah is going to discuss the chiyuvim of a nazir, which is over on his isurim many times. Nazir shahaya shoyse yayin kol hayoyim ene chayiv ela achas. A nazir had over on his zirus, and on his isser to drink wine, and he drinks a lot of revius of wine throughout the day. He's not chayiv only one malchus and one carbon, only on one revius. Even though every revius he drinks, he's over on a separate isser. But since he did not get hasra on every single revius with ne'atzmai, he's chayiv only on the first revius, which he did get asra on. But if they warned him in before every revius that he drank, and they told him amloy al tisha before revius, don't drink, and still who shoysa is chayiv malchus and a karban on each revius that he drank. And so too is the same halacha. Hayimigaleach kol hayoyim. If he cut his hair all days, ain't a chayiv only one malchus and one carbon. Ala achas, only one malchus and one carbon. But if they were master him before, every time they cut his hair, amloy al tigaleach, and he did it, v'hu megaleach, and his chayiv, and they give him asra on each time, then his chayiv malchus and carbon on each time. And so too is the same halacha, how you mitama l'mesim. So I'm not sure how you can be over. L'chor is only not over when he cuts off one here. L'chor, the whole isser is cutting. Is he over when he cuts one here? Yeah, I guess so. Another does have an isser geluach when he cuts one here. That would be the only way it's possible to do it all day. He cuts off one here every time. Okay. Noch halacha in the Mishnah. What happens to mitama l'mesim all day? Eine chayiv ela achas. Same thing. But if they were master him and they told him before every time he was mitame tameis, I'm al tame, and still he's mitame, v'hu mitame. So like the Mishnah, chayav al kol achas v'achas. He's chayav on each time that he's mitame to a mace. Zok the Gemara, Itmar. We learned in a brayso. Itmar. Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Huna. Rabba said, name of Rav Huna, Mikra malay diber akasov. So B'negea Tumas Nazir is Zok Rabba Rav Huna. It says in the pasuk, Bamidbar Perek Vav pasuk Zayin La Aviv U'Li'imay La Achav La Achoisay Lo Yitam Alay B'Maisam. A Nazir should not be metamet to them. So it's included all types of tumas, side tumas maga, tumas masa, carrying, or somebody was so somebody's touching a mace or carrying. Also tumas ayel, if someone comes into ayel in where there's a mace in there, it becomes tumas ayel. So in all these instances, if it becomes tameh, another becomes tameh, is chayav malchus. So oibezoi is the Gemara. Kashu oimer. When Torah says another pasuk, b'midbar parak vav pasuk vav. The pasuk before it says on nefesh meis lo yavoi. What's the pasuk coming to tell you on nefesh meis lo yavoi? So rather the pasuk lo yitame is come to tell you lasir al tuma. It's coming to mazar and tuma l'meis. And the pasuk lo yavoi is lasir al abiyah. It's coming to tell you to walking into a house that has a mace. That if he goes in to a house that has a mace, he's over into Isurim. He's over on Layitama because he becomes Tameh when he walks in, and he's also on Layavai because it's also a specific Isser for him, a separate Isser than to walk in to Eila Mace. And if he got Asra, it's both Isurim. The halacha is he gets two Malchus, one else Layavai and one else Layitama. Aval Tuma, but if a Tuma was only Al Yedei Nigia, he touched the mace, and then while he's touching the mace, he touches another mace. Allah is loy. He's not chayiv two malchus, and even if he got asra on both negias separately. Why? Because the second negia in the mace is not being moist anything on his first negia in the mace. Even there's two different maces that he was negia. This the Gemara is going to explain later on. Zok the Gemara vayter. Rav Yosef Amar. Rav Yosef says, Halikim, I swear. Amar Rav Huna, because Rav Huna says that a Nazir gets Malchus twice. Afilu Tuma V'Tuma, even if he touches one mace, a Nazir, and he gets Malchus on that, and then they warn him again, he touches another one, he gets two Malchus. The Amar Rav Huna said, Nazir Yishaim Beis HaKfaras. A Nazir was standing in Beis HaKfaras, and he already became Tameh at the time that he touched the kever. Or there was a Ayal, and he was Teichar Ba'amis, V'Shita Lo Meisei Meis Achar, and one of the Shiva Kroyim that died were there, and he touched him, and Nagaboy is chayiv on every negiya malchus if they give masra on each time. So frekti Gemara, amai hamitame vikam. L'chayr is already tam before because he already had tumas oil on himself, and l'chayr the negiya mace is not most of anything on the tumas oil that he had prior. So elah shma minos like the Gemara. You see from this Rav Huna says that Amar Rav Huna that pasuk leyavai, according to Rav Huna, we telling you get two malchus in. Afilu tuma v'tuma, even in a case where it's tuma v'tuma, that he was already tummy and then he touches the mace again, he gets two malchus. So that Gemara wants a shpar that you see for Rav Huna. Azoi Zok Rabbi Yosef. So Eisvei Abai asked Rabbi Yosef like this: Koyin shahayile mace munachak sefer. A koyin gadol that had a mace on his shoulders. Vayshitale mesai, u'mace achar v'nagaboy. And then another mace came his way, and he touched the mace. So Yacha, I might think chayiv. I might think that the kohen gadol will be chayiv on touching the second mace, even though it did not add on any tumah to him, to the kohen, because he's already tummy because he had a mace munachak seifav. Tam and the pasuk says vayikra perek chafal pasuk yud beis v'yichalal eis migdash alikov. It's mashma. The pasuk's come to tell you that the isser for kohen gadol mitame is only b'misha ena mecholo if he's not tummy. So the whole Isser is on a Torah the Kohen Gadol. He's not on a Tamei. That now he's becoming Tamei. Now he's becoming Mechol. Yotzazeh. It's coming to exclude. Shom Mechol v'Aymin. A Kohen Gadol. It's already Tamei. So it's mashma klor. You see in this brisa Zaktabaya. Not like Rav Yosef's Taining. You see that the whole Isser is only the first Chilul, the first Tumah on a Kohen. But a second time is okay. It's not adding on anything on his tummy. He's not chayav anything. It's not awesome. So it's Shver Rav Yosef that says he get malchus twice, even by tumah v'tumah. See the klor in the brisa not like that. Amar lei, Sir Rav Yosef answered Abaye v'tikshloch masnisin. Why don't you ask on the Mishnah from this brisa? The Tanan, the Mishnah learned. We said in the Mishnah before in Amad Aleph, Hayim etamela mesim kol hayoyim. And they will master him only one time. And chayiv is only chayiv, one malchus, one carbon. Elo achas. But what happens? They tell him on each time specifically. They warn him asra separate asra and he's over. Allah is chayiv kalach achas. The Mishnah said he's chayiv and each time is matami. So frekt of Yosef Tabai v'amai. What's pshat? Hamitami v'kam. The chayiv is already tummy after the first time he touches. What's he being Yosef? Why should he be chayiv twice? Alakasha adadi. So l'chayr is Rav Yosef. L'chayr you have a clear steer between the brisa and the Mishnah. The brisa is mashma that if he gets asra on each time, he's chayiv malchus on each time, each asra. Whereas the brisa is mashma that is mitame v'kar, that he's already the kohen gadol is already mechulon, or could only happen once. So Abaye wants to answer the kasha. You want to say loy kasha. It's not fair from the Mishnah brisa. Kan. The brisa that says that mashma that says that you only get one malchus is talking about that the second tumah that the nazir had, that the kohen gadol had, is bechiburin. So that means he touched the second mace that came his way and he touched it the kohen gadol still had the first mace on him and he was still touching it. So therefore, it's only chayav malchus one time, because in that case the second mace taka was not moisef anything on the first tamah. But Khan, the Mishnah that says that he gets malchus twice, is talking about shaloi b'chiburin. That our Mishnah is talking about, it says a nazir gets asra each time he's chayav malchus. Talking about that he touched the mace, he got asra and he touched the mace, it's over, and then he went away, touched the mace again afterwards. Shaloi b'chiburin, it was not connected anymore to the first negiyah. So in that case, it's taka chayav twice. So why? Because the second negiyah is taka moisef on the nazir's first tamah. Zok the Gemara weiter. So that's how Abaye wants miyashiv a stira between our Mishnah and the brisa that Rav Yosef brought. So frek the Gemara v'tum v'chibur and d'oraisa. So frek the Gemara on Abaye's teretz that you're going to tell me the difference of chibur and shloi b'chibur and v'tum v'chibur and d'oraisa. Is it d'oraisa? Ha'amar Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar Yanai. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar Yanai said that lo yamru tumim chiburun ella l'truma v'kachim. Only time he said the din of tumim v'chiburun, he's only got v'truma v'kachim. That somebody that's tamei v'chiburun is also achilas truma v'kachim 7 days. And if you touch it, become tamei. Aval nazir v'isa pesach that become tamei v'tumim v'chiburun, then they should not have a din as if they touch the mace itself. That a nazir should be seises and zeros, and a oisa pesach should be asur nasiyas pesach. Rather, they should have a din like any negea in a tummy mace. And a nazir should not be seises and zeros, and a oisa pesach should be mutter to make karam pesach. So, frankly, Gemara is that if you want to tell me that tum chiburin is d'oraisa, then l'chayr what's pshat? Yitzchak bar Yosef Yane wants to be mechalik that the whole din tumim chiburin is only got to be truma kachim, that he's also achilas truma kachim 7 days, and if he touches truma kachim becomes tamei. Masha'enke legabi nazir and oiseh pesach. Yitzchak bar Yosef Yane says that if it's nitmu b'chiburin, then it doesn't have an effect, and it's not says it's serious, and there's no is to bring Karim Pesach. So affecting a more, like we're handling over here, we want Mechalak the Mishnah and the Brisa. So Maishna, why should there be a difference Oisa Pesach and Nazir and Truma and Kachim? The Charetz Deraisa. So it should be Asr to bring Karim Pesach also, also to Mechiborn. So Zakti Gemara Muzain, Gemara wants to say that Tum Chimurin is Derabanan. So if Tumah Chibur is Derabanan, then obviously you can't say this that the Mishnah is Mechayev twice. Malchus, our Mishnah, you can't tell me that the Shmuz is Tumah Chiburin if the whole thing is Derabanan. You can't be Chayev Malchus on something that's Derabanan. It's Muchach that the Mishnah has to hold that even without adding on a Tumah on the second Negiah, still you Chayev twice. And like Rabbi Yosef. The Zakti Gemara, Kan b'chibur adam ba'adam. This Rabbi Yanai says that Tumah b'chiburin is derabanan, and therefore the goes there Tumah only the guy b'chum v'kachim. Is talking about b'chibur adam ba'adam, meaning that Reuven was Negeh and Shimon, which touches Levi, which is touching a mace. So in that case, Reuven is Tamei Dairaisa, only until the night. And Rabbanan is Tamei 7 days l'gabi Trum and Kachim, but not l'gabi Nazir Pesach. But Khan, just Gemara in the Mishnah, Zechayev and Nazir Malchus twice, if he's Tamei and he goes and touches somebody else, another Tamei again. Why? Because the second Tumah there's a Taisus Negiah, Negiah's Tumah. It's talking about Chibur Adam b'Meis, meaning that Reuven is touching Shimon, and Shimon himself is touching a mace. So it's a much closer connection. So in that case, Reuven is Tamei Deiraisa Shavas Yamim, like touching the mace Atzmai, and therefore Nazir at Nitzvah v'Chazman Nitma you like it twice because his Negiah and a mace the second time is Taka Mosef on the Tumah Deiraisa. So Frak the Gemara. The Gemara is going to ask now on the chiluk that Abaye said in Rava. So Abaye said, "Kam echum kam shalei b'chibur." In fact, the Gemara al tumah v'tumah loy dahametam v'kam. So Abaye said when it's b'chiburin, it's not moisef tumah because he's already tamei from his first negiah. And in the case of tumah and bia, if his mace is mutal kseifa and it goes into a mace, so Rabba would agree he gets two malkusim. So, in fact, the Gemara, Tumah, Bia, Nami, and Matami, V'kam, L'chayra, what's the difference? Even by this Tumah and this Bia, L'chayra, he still has his first Tumah, Machas, and Mace, that's Mutal, Ksefai, and him going to the oil, L'chayra is not Mace of anything on Tumah. So, what's the Svar to Michal between them? To say by Tumah, V'tumah, you like it only one time, and Tumah, and Bia, you like it twice. Rabbi Yochanan, Dr. Yochanan, that this what Rabbah says about Tumah, and Bia, you like it twice, is talking about a case where the Torah, he was Tar, and he went at the house which had a mace. So, the Bia and the Tumah to that came Vasachas, and that's when the Torah said you get two malchus, and one else Tami and one else Yavai. But over here, this Rabbah says about Tumah and Tumah, you only get one malchus. It's talking about Basada. It's a place where there's no roof on top of his head, and he's not going into Olam Mace. So then there's no way you get malchus twice. Why? Because he touched two mace in Vasachas, and he got Asra for both. He's not chayiv twice. Why? Because Asra was on one lav of Tumah. So the Mela is only one Asra, and he only gets one Malchus. And the mace is muta on his shoulder, and they handed him a mace, and he touched the mace. He's not like on the second time. Why? Because he's ready Mechol V'Oimit. Only in the case where there's a mace, and after he touched the mace, only in the case if he's in a Sada, the only time he's chayiv twice if he touched the mace, and after he was pirish from the mace, he touched an additional mace, then Rabbah holds you're chayiv two Malchus, because the second Negiah is a Taisus Tumah.